and welcome to the commentary version of the Rammus video. As per usual, the non-commentary version will be linked underneath. Rammus, the armadillo, punnily named, is a very useful, quick tank, with a very good taunt, which we'll be seeing later. Outside started with the jungle, which seems to be Rammus's main point at the moment. As you can see, we started off with defensive ball curl, which is the most useful to begin with for the jungle, since you take less damage and return damage to the enemy, which is all handy. And then we follow that up with getting the power wall, which basically turns you into Samus Aran and you go rolling all over the place, speeding up as you go. And unlike what I previously thought when I was actually playing this level, you don't do more damage the longer you go, but it does slow enemies regardless when you hit them. Because you'll see at some points that I purposefully don't roll into the enemy for a little bit longer, because I thought it would do more damage. As usual at the moment, we're just taking out all the trash. I meant the jungle. Yeah, so that was the point when I decided to go for a long roll. You don't need to do that. But as you can see, the defensive ball curl makes very quick work of the enemy, in conjunction with the power wall ability. We now also get puncturing taunt. We'll be using that to actually taunt the enemies. Taunting the enemies will force them to use their normal attacks on me and also follow me for the duration. It only starts off as 1.5 seconds, but in time that will get a lot longer. But even 1.5 seconds is very useful for keeping an enemy stationary. We use it here, but Wukong really didn't need the assistance. And yes, silly Bowser music to go with him, because he looks a bit like Bowser. I know, it's silly. But alas, when you have 140 of these to do, it works. At this point I go to see if Annie needs any help, but she doesn't. Rammus can quickly go through any of the jungle that he desires with that power wall ability. However, he does need mana to continue to spam it, but with the blue buff, that's perfectly fine. Which is also handy since Annie isn't too worried about having a blue buff on this. At this point I go down for another gank. The power roll, as well as slowing anyone when it hits it, also knocks it slightly in the duration, well, in that direction, not duration, of where you're facing her into. So as you see here, we will be rolling behind Soraka, so that we can knock her further away from her base. Just to give her a little bit of extra room for Wukong to deal with her perfectly fine, even though he doesn't really need it. At this point we'll do a little bit of hiding, and then we'll do a little bit of seeking, and another puncturing taunt to keep her there stationary long enough for Wukong to grab another kill. Taunting champions are very good for doing that, especially Rammus, since you don't actually need to stay close for them to be properly taunted. You can do it at a bit of a range, unlike champions like Shen when you actually have to charge into the enemy. The best thing to get with Rammus is to be going mostly for armor, since his passive gives him damage from extra armor. But I personally just end up going for a bit of attack damage and then a bit of armor. As per usual, I always end up going for the wrong things, but hey, that's how I like to play. And Smite just makes quick work of that little group there. At this point I believe I go in to help Annie get a kill. No, Annie's isn't here at the moment. Oh well. I'll just be waiting here for a little bit, it seems. Waiting to see what I can do to Ziggs. But alas, I do nothing to him. But now that Annie's here, we quickly move in for a kill. As you can see once again, a puncturing taunt right at the end wasn't really required, but it still kept him perfectly still long enough for her to get an easier kill. At this point I ask Annie if she wants a blue buff, but she isn't too interested, so I end up taking it myself, But not quite yet, as I ended up seeing that I could give a little bit of extra assistance to Wukong. After all, he's alone down there, and any extra assistance is perfectly fine. And there you can see a puncturing taunt keeping us still again long enough so that Wukong can once again get a kill. It is an exceptionally useful ability. We haven't really seen Tremors used yet. That's his ultimate ability, by the way. It generally just does AoE damage. It's not too fancy, but it still does AoE damage. In the previous commentaries, I've been doing a more laid-back voice. There you see that I purposefully avoided attacking because I didn't realise that Annie would actually be able to get the kill perfectly fine without me. But alas, with a quick reaction, I was able to, surprisingly enough, not steal the kill from her. I thought I was accidentally going to. But as I was going to say earlier, since this is a bit of a louder track, I'll do a bit of a louder voice. I generally just want to make it, sound as it should, with the music in the background. And Wukong there is just giving me a little bit of praise for my work, which is always nice. You should always praise people if they do good. And he's not a mannerless monkey, even though I personally don't like Wukong at all. I'm just not a fan of him. He just looks a bit like a jerk. And I base my opinions on that. At this point I have absolutely no idea what I actually wanted to use. I was stuck between those two items, as you can see. And in the end I decided to just go for the lizard one. If you get boosted mobility, and then you get the extra movement speed on them, then you will be able to cross the map very quickly with power roll. I never ended up doing that, instead I just went for the armor boots. However, in PvP, that would probably be really useful for being able to catch enemies off guard. Since if you wait until the end of the duration of the war, then you can very quickly catch up on people. And here we randomly find Caitlyn in the middle of nowhere, standing still, surprisingly, which doesn't make much sense, but, we take advantage of that, use Tremors, and kill her. With a swift headbutt. Once again, in this run, the ladies didn't really need help, but, I helped to get from the kills anyway. Wukong could have done with the extra hands, because he was missing some of his lane. You do have nice cooldown reduction in the blue buff, and it is very nice to just clear out those waves with the power roll. And again, I make sure not to steal the kill on Ziggs. I wouldn't want to make Annie annoyed, especially when she has Tibbers with her. That would prove to be a fatal mistake. Once again, these taunt on Soraka keeps her perfectly still while Darius finishes her off. But then again, he probably didn't need it because he could have just executed her anyway. I may not have noticed much voice from Rammus. Now for those not familiar with him, he doesn't really have much of a voice. He tends to just say, okay, and yes, and words like that. He doesn't even have a taunt, or a joke. His taunt is just for physical appearance, and he literally has no joke. I believe the only character that doesn't have one. Unless I'm missing something and he actually does, but I never notice it. But he does have a fun dance, as we saw at the beginning. Break dancing on a spiked shell, it wouldn't work. Here we managed to catch Caitlyn out, but then I get quickly dealt with. And get my first death of the game. Don't worry, it won't be the last one. But at least now I'm able to buy the lizard item thing, which probably is the wrong one for Rammus, but I decided to go for it anyway, because I had never used it before. And that's always a good reason to buy something. Plus it has a lot of green stats. Rolling around the map is generally just incredibly fun to do as Rammus. As fun as his puncturing taunt is, the power roll is still more fun. And then Darius accidentally gets himself killed. This silly boy. At this point I check up with Annie to see if she wants to come get a buff, but she's kind of busy up there randomly killing stuff, so I decide to go for the buff myself. And I decide to take out Soraka, which is made very easy with being able to taunt her and keep her still for quite a while. However, her silence is very annoying and her heals are annoying, but we generally outgear her, so it's fine. And then we deal with Ziggs and let Annie come down with a kill. Once again, throwing down Tibbers. We've seen Tibbers quite a few times so far, and it won't be the last time. Since a lot of people like to use Annie, for good reason. And once again, power rolling to stun her a little bit, and then taunting her to keep her stunned. It should probably be mentioned that when they're taunted, they do attack you. However, they generally just don't do that much damage, mainly because I have a lot of armor as it is, and also you're able to use your defensive crawl ability to minimise it even more. And if you're facing a melee champion that you can taunt, then you can just run away from them and make them chase you without actually being able to touch you. And I managed to get myself killed again and accidentally get Annie killed. Oops. At least it gives another opportunity to go and buy some things. The Aegis of the Legion? Was it Aegis of the Legion? I've forgotten. Comments below. But anyway, that item is always a very helpful one for the team. Less so for yourself, but more so due to the fact that it gives a benefit to the team. Usually you would get that with supports, but we don't exactly have a support, so I tend to fill that role anyway. I'm used to filling it, and I'll happily fill it, especially since Rammus gains extra attack power for it. And here I give Annie the kill. I pointed on the map to let her know that I was going to give it to her, which is always a nice thing to do, as Annie can use the blue buff far more than Rammus can, especially since I'm likely to go and get Rammus killed once more. Annie could have taken the blue buff by herself, of course, but she would have taken some damage, and generally it was a lot easier just to have her come over and get the last few hits on it. Safer and more convenient for her, and that's what you always want. And Darius makes quick work executing some moves. One thing you have to look out for with Rammus though is that his power roll ability does get stopped on the very first thing it hits. When it hits whatever you get near to. Because as you can see there, I accidentally wasted power roll by hitting a minion monster directly in front of me. You have to make sure to only get close to enemies when you're wanting to actually smash into them. I didn't show it because it didn't actually get fully cast, but as you saw before, I tried to get in the way of Caitlyn as she was about to use her ultimate ability. That's because Rammus would obviously take a lot less damage from it and not die, unlike the other person who would have hit. Luckily she died before it, so you didn't really get to see it anyway. And that death probably could have been avoided by me if I remembered to use my defensive claw ability, but I didn't. Oh well. It's a good thing that I don't mind showing myself failing, I suppose. Of course, Darius just runs around and executes some more people. That's what Darius does best. He's going to do it again right now. Yep, there we go. He executed another dude. We'll be showing Darius on myself at some point. We're going to having a bit of lag, but it's fine because we've almost won. I mean, it's a trend of the fact that I generally just let people get killed, even if I am playing like a nibby of time, like a previous video. I just generally prefer letting others get them, and that way it avoids people getting a little bit upset for having a kill stolen and the like, even if it's not really a kill steal. But you know, it's just nice to do it. It probably comes from the fact that I used to always play support characters on games, so I generally let other people take stuff. And with that said, we effectively win the level. But there's still one more kill we can get. Here we come. The owner foolishly comes out and we can smash it from behind. Wukong somehow manages to escape with his life, and then gets chased down, and somehow still escapes with his life. Then comes back in, and somehow still escapes with his life. Why Wukong even did that, we don't know, but it was funny nonetheless, and that's what matters. Follow all indeed, you little monkey. As a result, upgrade to the Aegis of the Legion. Runic Bulwark, just a little bit more magic resist, and maybe a bit more HP per second, I've forgotten. I think it's mostly just for magic resist though. But alas, I felt like buying it. I'm not sure if I didn't mention yet or not, but I don't actually own Rammus. This might have been evident from the picture at the beginning. And that is the end of the Rammus commentary video, so until the next champion.